second for Google to fire up.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Joel. I'm down here at Boom Comics in Topeka, Kansas, and this is the weekly update for the Dryden experiment. Today is June the 19th. We're doing this at 2 o'clock in the afternoon this week because we have Gavin Revitt from Sheffield, England on the line with us, and we wanted to have a weekly meeting that was not in the middle of the night Gavin time.
Yes.
I see we've already lost one of our viewers. All right, so we've got a pretty busy week. I'm just going to launch into the conversation, and we will just feel free, folks that are watching, to jump in. The first thing that I want to say is happy birthday to Tracy Vincent.
Yes.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Tracy turned 40 yesterday, and actually 2 days ago hosted an absolutely fabulous online party event that I participated in, and also that Laura Conrad participated in, and both Laura and I gave away free copies of Dryden books, so that was very exciting. And I didn't win any of the prizes, and that was very sad.
I'm sorry.
But, so happy birthday to Tracy. First thing, that's all right. I also want to first thing reach out a little bit of a thank you to Kitty Sarkozy. Kitty met with Tracy and I for the first time this last week. Kitty does some fabulous writing and is interested in writing with Dryden. It was a great conversation, so I want to make sure that we say hello to Kitty. She's not actually online with us right now, but hopefully she will see this message.
Hi, Kitty.
All right.
Hi, Kitty. Yeah.
So, into what's going on in Dryden this week. The first thing to talk about is the Rise of the European project. I've now seen writing samples from 4 different authors, and it's looking very, very promising, very exciting. As a matter of fact, Kitty is talking about doing a submission with us there. And I want to encourage people to not worry about what the other authors are doing. I've been talking to Eugene Kelly quite a bit this week. He's doing a very sort of dark Cthulhu story, and he's a little bit worried that most folks are treating the European fairly sympathetically, and he's not. And sort of the point of this whole project was to present that alternate versions of history kind of deal, and I love the fact that his story is incongruous. They're all sort of incongruous, but in particular he's got a much darker vision of the European than the others do, and I want to encourage that descent to continue right on. I think it's fabulous that everybody's putting their own spin on the story and their own place in the story. So rock on, Eugene. Don't conform. There's one thing.
Definitely, yes.
Fuck the system.
Fuck
the system. Even when we are the system, you should still fuck the system.
Oh, yeah. Damn us all.
Damn us all. So
that's why we're here.
So the European project is doing great. Kitty asked about a release date or a last submission date. We don't really have one of those. We have a book that we're scheduled to probably going to go to print with sometime in August, so we wouldn't try to go to print with something else until September or October anyway. So that gives us, another 8 weeks to sort of gather and write stories before anybody even wants to have a conversation about, do we have the last of the stories that we're going to submit and what time do we want to go to print, blah, blah, blah. I do want to mention that Gavin did a fabulous cover for that. It's in draft form, but it is posted on the project page. I'll put the link below. And Eugene has been writing me some very interesting emails. He has a character that he wants to write about from the Edge of the Dark, which is the end of the Il Solitaire and the European and the beginning of the Scourge. He's got a human Emperor Genghis Khan kind of character, wants to run an empire way out there at the edge. Eugene, we're going to give you a thumbs up on that. I sent you an email with some sort of challenge questions, but those were not meant to discourage you in any way, but just to sort of help define what you're doing and get it identified in our universe. So fabulous stuff. All right. Don Van Osdal, I think, as most of you know, I'm just racing along. If anybody wants in, you're going to have to stop me. Don Van Osdal, I think, as most of you know, is working on a video and print story. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to go. about a ship called the Dusky Lady, and which crash lands also in the Edge of the Dark. He's writing pretty far in the future, or I think he's out in the middle maybe of Belle of Hawk. I'm not sure where he is, but he is recruiting voice talent. I recorded some voice samples for him, so if you'd be interested in playing a part, contact me just through the Dryden email, and I'll get you in touch with Don. Don, I tried to recruit TJ, who works here at Boom. He's got this extremely epic voice, and I think would be very good at part with me. If I can get him to come over here and say something, I will. The other thing that Don's doing that's really exciting is that there's a festival in Idaho where he lives every summer around the 4th of July, and he's actually got a booth out there, and we've got copies of books to him. Was going to try to get him some posters, and I don't think I'm actually going to make that, but I did get a box of books in the mail to him, so he'll have books, and he'll also have the information sheet about the Dryden experiment. So hopefully we'll have a little fun at Salmon Days in Idaho this summer. It's just one of those sort of cool things that crops up when you start working cooperatively. It was my plan all along to have a booth at Salmon Days. So it's awesome. So thank you very much, Don, for doing that. He's going to be out in the sun all day talking about Dryden. He'll have Sky Goddesses and Alder's World with him. So that's going to be awesome.
Excellent.
The next thing, and Tracy, you may want to get in on this one, we are getting closer to the release of Laura Conrad's next book. We have a title for it now.
Yes.
It's going to be called Lorelei, You Will Never Die. Tracy, you want to talk a little bit about it so I don't spoil? I don't want to say anything you don't want to have said. Tracy's editing it, so I'm sure and see what you want. You want to talk about it a little bit, Tracy?
Sure. Right now we have got just the last little bit to go, and then we'll be sending it on to you, Joel. And right now we've got the title. The title is Lorelei, You'll Never Die. We're currently working on the cover. And once we get the cover, then what we will do is we will reveal that cover across all kinds of platforms through all sorts of people that I know. Once we get that done, we will be giving out a few ARCs to some people, which are advanced reader copies. And then we will have the release day, which will have the reviews and stuff up, and that will be sometime, hopefully around mid-August, late August at the latest.
Awesome.
Very
so
good.
you want to give any secret insights into what the book is about or like? You want to tease folks, or you just want to make it right?
Well, it's about a woman named Lorelei, and it touches on before the apocalypse occurs, which is the extinction war that happens. And it touches briefly on it and on her as an individual, and it really shows how much she has to change and adapt to the environment, because the environment changes from a very urban setting to absolute desolation. And so it's done through a series of short stories. So it's not a complete, continuous flow story. It's a series of short stories that tells this over story, and it's really, really well done. Laura has done an amazing job.
Excellent.
So for those of you, I met Laura probably 3 years ago now on DeviantArt. She's just was writing these really fantastic short stories that I really felt like needed to be somewhere, and so I approached her and asked her to use some of them to build Sky Goddesses of Dryden out of, which was the very first thing that we published. And I continue to just love her work, and I went back to her and I said, look, we've got to do some more with these stories. And she and Tracy have just done a fantastic job over about the last 12 weeks of taking a collection of really bright and exciting short stories and making them into sort of a finished book. So wonderful stuff. One of my very favorite authors, and we'll be publishing her here in a couple months. So awesome. I I had a meeting last week with Matt here at Boom. Matt is the owner of Boom. Matt continues to be very excited about the Dryden experiment. He continues to be very, very interested in supporting and promoting us. And we continue to talk about doing limited edition covers specifically for Boom Comics. There's a question that I haven't been able to ask Matt yet about making sure that limited edition materials are available on the internet so that folks can get at them. We don't want to have them just be trapped here at Boom, but I wanted to mention that the relationship goes very well. I will be in Lawrence, Kansas sometime later this summer for book release party number 3 for Alder's World, but that store is not actually open yet, so we don't know. We don't know the details on that yet. Also, Matt has given the go-ahead. We'll be beta testing Big Damn Dryden, which is the role-playing game coming out of Owlman Press. I think in all 3 stores, definitely at least in one of them. And that actually segues then to the next topic, which is the Big Damn Dryden. I mentioned last week that I have seen the playable game. It's awesome. It's very, very cool. I can't wait to get it up and out in front of people. Nick has started writing these little shorts that are just sort of samples of things that might happen in universe, and they're great. I love them. I think he should write for us just in general. But Big Damn Dryden is still on its way, and we're doing well, so I just wanted to mention it. And then I want to take a pause and see if anybody else wants to talk, because I'm headed off into what will probably be a kind of a lengthy conversation for my next topic, which is my last one. And I want to see if anybody else is working on anything or has questions that they'd like to ask before I move on.
Do we think it's worth... Oh, sorry, go on, Tracy.
No, I was like, I'm good.
Oh, right, yeah. Well,
Tracy's
yeah, I didn't know if anybody wanted to introduce a bit of the story that I'm doing. I don't know, I mean, with respect to the fact that I don't know how far it's actually going to go,
absolutely.
and I'm making it up. I'm just winging it. I mean, I'll warn people, I'm just winging this story at the moment. It's funny. I've had a story before for ages, one that really isn't sort of anything that would fit into Dryden, unfortunately, I don't think. But I've been banging my head against a brick rock with this thing for about the last 10 years, and then all of a sudden, as a result of this cooperative work that we're doing, this thing's just pouring out. So you were asking before, Joel, where it came from. I've no idea. It's just spontaneously pulled out of the stuff that we're doing. So
well, what little bit I saw, I want it, so I want to get it in my hands.
I felt the same way.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah,
you might have the competing editors right now.
Because it will start a bidding war, but damn us all anyway.
Yeah. That's right. So, Gavin, as you know, invented the Technoprey, which are this really fabulous alien species that inhabits our universe. And I needed some way. I wanted to change types of science fiction. We went forward in the future from very hard sci-fi in the near future to really fantastic far out stuff in the far. And so I felt a kind of a need to scrub the history from time to time and also explain why we don't have aliens around now if they're so prevalent in the universe. And I just happened on Gavin's Technoprey, which were the perfect solution. Technoprey live inside of gas giant stars, and they're almost not a life form in the way that we think of it. They are, if you try to build a battery deep inside the high-pressure environments of gas giant stars, and it suddenly acquired sentience. How's that? Is that a fairly accurate,
that's pretty accurate. Yeah, it just as much as it can be for something as outrageous and terrifying as the Technoprey.
Right on. I keep trying to switch to you on the video, Gavin, and you're not moving for some reason, so I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
That's when
okay.
I click over on you, you're just gone. Yeah, so sorry about that. So then these creatures create sort of shells for themselves so that they can get out and explore the universe. But they have this extremely long reproductive cycle. They'll stay dormant for as long as 40,000 years inside of gas giants, and then they all erupt as a breeding species, sort of like termites coming out of a mound.
Or cicadas.
Absolutely. or
Yeah.
cicadas, right? It's
Yeah.
absolutely destructive on the life forms in the universe, because every 40,000 years, right about the time people are getting good at interstellar flight and moving on with things, along come the technoprey and destroy everything, and they re-level the field for us.
Yeah.
And so they were just exactly perfect for what I was looking for, and they explain why we haven't met aliens is because, 10,000 years ago, the technoprey came along and wiped everybody out. Well, I don't know what we were doing 10,000 years ago, inventing hoes, I suppose, and rakes.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but Gavin has since then, as I mentioned before, done a whole lot of other really fantastic stuff for us, a lot of graphic design and book covers and wonderful stuff. Well, he came out with this story now about the humans who are trying to survive the advance of the technoprey. And just a little tiny bit of a spoiler, the humans are experimenting with technology that they think the technoprey won't see. And Gavin's crew is out in a very dangerous, vulnerable place, experimenting with the technology that may keep the technoprey from noticing them. So, off to a
Yeah.
really promising start, very enjoyable.
Scaring the
And
lifelines out of myself.
and
Yeah.
doing just a really a bang up job. Tracy and I are both really excited to see more of that. So yeah, definitely. So Gavin's got something new coming in the universe as well. And I suppose while we're at it, Tracy is actually one of the authors for the Rise of the European project. So
Yeah.
let's not
Yeah.
forget that she's invented
Yeah.
really wonderful. Boy. Earth-centric, female energy-centric sort of woman who inadvertently, through the circumstances of her birth, is in contact with the life forms of the European, or maybe the European itself. I'm not sure. Um,
Mm.
I
but
always
that's
figured it's more like a collective, and that the European makes contact with the creatures, and therefore makes contact with her.
okay. Fair enough.
So it's more
Excellent.
she's in tune with the European and doesn't realize she can talk back.
There you go. And interestingly, one of the other authors who's working on the Rise of the European also decided, Dawn, as a matter of fact, decided that there was a telepathic connection between the European and one of the characters. So that was totally unplanned, but a beautiful moment of synchronicity.
We're just here to make Joel's life difficult, aren't we?
It's exactly the opposite. People send me things and say, "Do you think this works?" And I say, "Yes." And then they send me something else and go, "Do you think this works?" And I say, "Yes." And I say yes to people, and it's wonderful, and the world grows. I just rain yeses down on everyone, and little projects sprout up.
So if I were to ask for $1 million and a new job, will you say yes?
Yes. I would have a little trouble with the actual delivery.
He said yes.
I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you a time on that, but you need to figure out what your percent of a sale of Lorelei You'll Never Die will be, and multiply that out until you arrive at $1 million. And that's how.
Winner. Oh, yeah. Work cut out for all of us.
Right. There may be some work for everybody before we fulfill that promise, but it may very well happen. All right, so I want to change topics a little bit and make sort of a declaration of intent, I guess. This whole project, the entire Dryden experiment, started because I'm really frustrated with the way buying and selling of rights works, and with corporations making huge decisions about what people do and don't want to read and see and play. And the dollar is at the very bottom, and the artist very often is sort of the tag in, doesn't take a lot out of it, works very hard for very little recognition. Very few artists get very successful, rather than a lot of artists who really love what they're doing being able to be successful doing it, just because of the way the structure is built. And if you'd like to hear me rant about that at great length, visit the Dryden Home YouTube channel, where I do go on a bit. So I started this whole idea of this cooperative universe using the Creative Commons BYSA 4.0 model, so that everybody who loves what they're doing can get in and participate in a big universe and get the cross promotion, and be more successful. I'd rather have 100 artists sell 10,000 books than one artist sell 1,000,000. It's just better for everybody that way, except the one person who was going to sell 1,000,000, I guess. But I don't feel too sympathetic for that person. And it's been enormously successful. The Dryden experiment is a little over 3 years old now, and it has 10 or 15 artists and authors who are working in it actively. We've got 4 books in the pipeline, 5 books in the pipeline by the new year, if you count the 2 that Dan Hunt has coming through iUniverse. Literally every day I get new content run by me or shown to me, or I create, and it's awesome. It's everything that I wanted to do. It's great. I mentioned to Gavin a week or 2 ago, I'm going to have to make up new goals because I've met them all. And I think I know what I want my next goal to be. I want my next goal to be, no matter what genre you write in, no matter what style of art you like to do, no matter what your shtick is, I would like for you to have access to the Creative Commons model and the shared support that we've got going in this science fiction universe. And to do that, what I'm going to be doing over the next 6 months, this is my personal goal between now and Christmas, I'm going to open a whole new set of genres in the Dryden model. So the Dryden universe will now not only be a science fiction, there will be the science fiction universe, but then we're going to start creating things that aren't on the science fiction timeline and exist in other places. So, for example, I'm going to build Dryden Steam, which is going to be an alternate world kind of environment that is steampunk, and it's going to have zeppelins and women in corsets and parasols and steam-powered locomotives and everything that makes steampunk awesome. We're going to have Dryden Apocalypse, which I may end up calling Dryden Iron Road because I love that. And it is going to be Mad Max, and the stories that Laura writes, we're going to have had some sort of nuclear catastrophe or environmental catastrophe here on Earth. And it's Tank Girl, Mad Max, A Boy and His Dog, all of those post-apocalypse stories environment. Then, of course, I'll continue to support Dryden Sci-Fi, which is what we've been talking about up until this point. We're going to do Dryden Fantasy, and I think Dryden Fantasy is going to be a lot of fun because what we're going to do is we're going to have multiple planes of existence, and on those different planes, each of those different planes is accessible by a sacrifice of a different object. So some of them are very easy to get back and forth between. You sacrifice something in very common wood, and you get to them, and some of them are really hard to get to and difficult to access. What we're going to do is we're going to have different authors have their own universe or their own plane with their own orcs and trolls and dragons and blah, 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 blah. And then depending on how easy it is to access that plane, characters will cross-hop, sort of a multiverse kind of a setup, right? So
I was just thinking perhaps something in itself could actually cross over with the Codex too. Part of the universe, could it? Is it quite literally a disparate thing?
I don't think that's impossible because we intentionally set up Codex 2 to be space fantasy, but I don't know that bridge would ever matter very much because by the time you're far enough out there in the space fantasy, you can put it in science fiction or you can put it in fantasy, whichever one you want to, and I don't really care. But
give it its own feet, see what happens.
Exactly. That's what Dryden does is we put things on their feet and see where they go. We don't decide where they go, but we support wherever they're trying to go. So I'll set up a sort of a central world, a kind of a hub that's my vision is like if you've ever wandered into a World of Warcraft general area where everybody just meets and gathers, and you get all different species and all different wizards and priests and everybody. And then we'll just invite authors and artists to come in and create their own plane and give us the linking instructions, and then we'll let people cross riff, right, and support each other and grow each other.
It's the Moss Isley of publishing.
A more wretched hive Humility you will never meet. That's right. Well, already we know that if it's something that has to be sacrificed in order to make the jump, somebody's going to want it to be a virgin for their plane, and I'm like, okay, dude, but I'm never going there. So, but we'll we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But that way we can open up to the fantasy authors. I also think that we'll do a horror. We've had some sort of catastrophic breakdown in the gates between the heavens and the hells. And we can now have Cthulhu and zombies and all of those sort of elements in what will be modern day Earth, except sort of dark modern day Earth. If you've ever watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there was an episode where Buffy never came to Sunnydale, and it was like the dark Sunnydale, and it was evil, and Willow and Xander were both vampires, and we'll do a version of that where it is Earth, and we recognize it as Earth, but the hells have broken loose upon the Earth, and it's a horror environment. And then the other one that I'm kind of interested in, but I don't know how well it's going to work. I'm hoping Tracy will give me some insight into this as we go forward, is I'd like to set up sort of a contemporary, Dryden contemporary, where we've got a kind of an urban city environment, and we can tell sort of romance stories and urban adventures. I know almost nothing about that genre, but I see a lot of
pre-apocalypse.
Pre-apocalypse. Or maybe what the apocalypse actually looks like, right? But I see a lot of book covers from that genre, and so I'd like to understand it better. So what will be happening, just one at a time, as I get time, I'm going to start building these. You'll see a Facebook page come up for it. You'll see a WordPress blog come up for it, and you'll start seeing me riff about it on YouTube. I'll start not a channel, but a category inside of the Dryden Home channel to talk about how each one works and develop each one. And the idea is that by Christmas we should be able to have 7 different genres, up and working, and hopefully find sort of champions that really believe in that genre and want to support it, and will help it grow the way people have stepped forward to help science fiction grow. So the new larger goal for myself is to make a place for everyone who wants to write or create art and doesn't want to have to sell it, to have a Creative Commons model available to work it in.
Excellent.
This is the new mission. Somebody call to Sony, tell them they're out of date. All right, so that's everything I had on the agenda. Anybody else want to jump in? Anybody have questions for me about the universe? Anybody have thoughts? Anything I missed?
Yeah, the Rise of the European, is that still set for release around about November time?
That is my guess. The one that's close enough to see a date for is Lorelei, You'll Never Die, and we're shooting for August. We're going to try to do Alder's World Book 2 before the end of the year, and
sharpening pencils.
and Rise of the European before the end of the year. But I don't have dates yet, so I would not think before November. I think that October would be sort of dangerously optimistic. I think that we'll do sort of a mini re-release of Alder's World Part 1 as a. We're going to move it over to Smashwords so that we can release it in several different formats at the same time, and we'll probably put some promotion behind that in September. But I doubt we'll actually release anything. All right, Tracy. What more do you need? What more are you doing? Where are you?
Well, right now I'm just waiting back from Laura and waiting on Kitty to get back from her trip, and because she said she had some stuff she needed to send me. And then, other than try to help you out with the contemporary, section or sector or partition. However we want to call it.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, I'm pretty much easygoing. Oh well, I have to mail out all these books that you sent me to all the winners of my party. Right. That was a fabulous party. That was a fabulous party. Everybody missed out. You have no idea. I had a
I
spent like 12 hours in my chair just laughing my tail off at everything. And then after my family birthday party yesterday, I ended up spending, oh, 5 hours in my chair picking out winners and still didn't get finished. I spent 2.5 hours today picking out winners.
Oh, I'm going to have to stay up for your 41st. It's got to be done.
She throws quite a party, Gavin. So
yeah, it sounds like it.
So how about you, Gavin? What else have you got your hands in? Anything that you're thinking about or would like to approach?
Well, I'm going to say it's funny. I was doing the icons. Oh, did you get the icon, by the way, Tracy?
I haven't checked my email this morning. I have been stuck in the party thing.
Right, yeah.
So
yeah, I've popped the icon in there. So if you want to have a look at it, and then if that icon is all right, then I've actually created the whole Facebook panel for you to be able to post that up.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, have a nosy at the icon. If it's all right, I'll send you the other one, and then that's great. Right, sorry, Joe. Yes, that's right. Good. Okay, we've got the. We've got the pictures still to come that I've been working kind of with stroke alongside Charlotte Gagnon. There's the Il Solitaire work, so that's coming on nicely. I'm reckoning that the actual spacecraft should make its appearance perhaps within the week. Pretty much finished. It's taken a nice dark edge. It's a very robust vehicle now.
Awesome,
so that's going to be good.
Let me.
Oh yeah.
Let me riff just on Il Solitaire for a minute. Charlotte is back, and she's doing great work. As a matter of fact, I have an image from her that I haven't gotten up on the Facebook page yet that are some of her variations on creatures that may be Il Solitaire hybrids, and they look fantastic. I need to get that up. And as part of that, Gavin is... there's a moment in Earth history where the Cetaceans decide that they're not going to survive on Earth anymore, and they leave. They build a spaceship in Antarctica, and they take off. And Gavin is designing that spaceship, and I've seen the draft work, which is what he's talking about. Now he's getting closer to finish, and it's awesome. It looks really great. So,
yeah.
All right, I'm sorry.
We've given them the ability. No, we've given them the ability to do whale song in space as well, haven't we?
Yeah. Gavin
that's something pretty cool.
Gavin had this idea. I need to stop again and share this. You know, whales communicate over vast distances across the ocean by singing. It's wonderful to listen to. And Gavin's idea is that you can treat the framing drive as sort of a tympanic membrane, except instead of vibrating water, the ripples in space-time that the framing drive holds on to actually are the conductive medium, and it conducts it much faster than the speed of light. So whale song now passes through the Dryden universe, through the framing drives of whales, and they are able to speak to each other across the stars the same way they speak across space. It's breathtaking. All right.
Yeah, so that's a great way of subterfuge underneath the human noses.
Yes, and humans failed to notice, right? Which, speaking of such things, Tracy also invented the fact that the European has been sending little bits of itself out via panspermia through geysers.
Yeah, the panspermia theory, yeah.
Yeah, she
that's great.
I had to tell her, that's a thing. And she was like,
yeah,
really?
That's an actual thing, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tracy, you're brilliant. And so the European has actually been colonizing the stars as well, and humans didn't know that either. So wonderful stuff going on.
Very creatures and very arrogant on top of it.
I didn't notice what you were talking about. But it doesn't matter because I'm so important. So Gavin, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
That's okay. That's cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. We've got the Il Solitaire Vostok Station spacecraft, spacecraft that's coming. There's an actual image as well from the early days of the Vostok Station where they first got the Cetaceans and everything all in the freshwater lake. So that's another little sort of working image of the early days.
Awesome.
That I've got on. That's going to be the next picture that drops out after I've closed off the Il Solitaire spacecraft, and then it's just this infernal sort of play by numbers, join the dots picture that we've got going. You know, it's we'll see how that goes. Obviously, any other projects that anybody needs, I'm usually available. That's not a problem. But I ought to warn you, I'm also getting quite involved in this book, so
Great.
it's quite a funny thing to actually. Well, it's a strange thing. I don't know. I mean, I guess yourself, you've had more experience in writing than a lot more experience in writing, I think, than I have. Probably Tracy as well.
Yeah, no.
So it's a fascinating thing to try, but yeah, I'm really just literally winging it and just making it up on the spot. So you getting it fresh out of the brain as it is. I've no idea which direction it's going to go in myself. So.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll make a commitment right here, Gavin, that will both be very good for your book and mean work for you. Is that if you go ahead with that book and develop it and grow it, I'll give it to Tracy to edit. I won't take it for myself.
Yes.
And
well, yeah.
that's
I've already fallen in love with the characters. They're already part of my consciousness. Every time I go to sleep or wake up, they're in there somewhere. So it's
wonderful.
It's very much become a part of me. So yeah, expect interesting things out of them, and I hope I don't kill too many of them.
Well, Tracy is a wonderful combination of very good and very supportive, and also unafraid to go, well, that didn't make any sense at all. So
yeah, that's what I need. This is absolutely what I need. That's why I've been so spurred on by the two of you actually giving me a decent thumbs up on something that's still pretty embryonic. You know what I mean? It's wild. I don't know.
It's a good start, and if you keep going, I'll give it to Tracy and let the two of you work on it together, because she will absolutely bring the best out of you. So.
Oh yeah, no, pummel the hell out of it, Tracy. Definitely.
I'll have to find somebody else to do the book cover, I guess. I don't know. That's what we'll actually end up with, isn't it? This is the book by Gavin with the cover by Gavin with the introduction by Gavin.
Mercilessly ripped apart by the Spartan Queen herself. Yes, that's what I need. I need you to put your Spartan Queen hat on for this. No mercy. Yeah?
Don't worry, mercy is not in her vocabulary when she edits.
Excellent.
Support is, but mercy is not. All right.
I'll be nice, but you'll still get. Like the red pen. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I'm sure you've heard me say this, Gavin. I kept sending books to Tracy, and she kept giving me 3-star reviews. And finally, I had to hire her so that she would have to say something nice about my books.
That's how it happened. Wouldn't
it? She kept hammering my books, but her comments were really good. And finally, I was like, "Do you edit? You should be editing." So, all right. Well, we have now gone on for over 30 minutes, which I think is probably as long as anybody's going to watch. I'm going to go ahead and kill the broadcast. If the two of you feel chatty, I'm available. I don't have anywhere I need to be after this, but I think we have updated for the week.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining in. I'm Joel. This is Boom Comics. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.